Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today for Kineo Totara office hours. I failed to update that slide, so that's not right. We are talking about quiz types, CBM. So quiz types with certainty-based marking. And we're going to learn a little bit about what that is, what it means, and what does it look like to you as an administrator and to the learner. So a little bit about myself real quick. My name is Taylor Craig, and I am a platforms consultant here at Kineo. So that means I am a trainer. Basically, that's a fancy word for trainer. I get to train our clients who are implementing and launching off with Totara. I get you guys familiarized with the system, familiarized with your customizations, typically do any documentation around customizations and all of that good stuff. So I am your girl if you got questions. Today what we're talking about, again, we're talking about quiz types with certainty-based marking. A little bit about what certainty-based marking means. So CBM, as you'll see it referred to in your settings, means that basically your learners, as they take their exam or as they take their quiz, they are asked how sure they are of their answer. So it's based on a 3-point scale. There's a C1, C2, and a C3. C1 is low, C2 is mid, C3 is high. So basically they're telling you I might think my answer is A, and I am quite sure that I am correct. Okay. Now, one thing to keep in mind, guys, is that it calculates based off of their answer and how certain they were. So if I was absolutely sure that I was right, but I was actually wrong, it actually counts off a significant number of points, actually in the negative. So I will show you what that looks like, and then I'll show you which setting it is where you can turn it on. One thing to note, guys, we have been talking about all the different types of quiz types. So we've already kind of touched on all the major ones. CBM can be applied to all of them. Okay, so I'll show you what that looks like here in just a second. Let's go ahead and take a look. I'm going to jump into my course, assuming I can find it. All right, guys, so I am logged in as Sharon Cunningham, our typical person that we're always logged in as. And today she has taken a quiz, the same quiz she's taken 100 times. You'd think she'd get the answer right, but so far she hasn't, especially since she wrote it. But anyway, I'm kidding. So we see here we have all of our different questions. She's able to see how many she got right, how many she got wrong, how many she got partially correct. And you're going to see here that she's received a 78 out of a 100. And so these are the results for her quiz. So it's showing her accuracy, her CBM bonus, which is actually a negative, accuracy plus her bonus, which is the 71.5. So it's just kind of breaking all of this down. Now you'll see here it's also telling them how they rated. So here she sees that her C3, which is high, so she's saying, yes, I'm absolutely sure. It's saying she's overly confident. So she thinks she knows the answers and she actually doesn't. So it's letting her know that. And then the C2, remember that was the mid, you're sort of sure. In that particular one, it's telling her she was okay using that certainty level. She wasn't overly confident and she wasn't underconfident. And then she also has, as far as for her C1, which means I'm not real sure, in that particular one, she was a little underconfident as far as how often she utilized that. So let's take a look at what it looks like on a question-by-question basis. So as she's going through, when she's going through, she answers her questions, and then this is where the certainty is. The learners do see the little information bubble, so they do get kind of a breakdown as far as what the calculation is and what it's doing and why it's doing it. But I want you to pay attention to this up here. So in my quiz, I have each one set to be worth 5 points, or weighted at 5, right? And you'll see here that it says CBM mark is 15. The reason it is 15 is because she selected all of the correct answers and she said she was quite sure. So what it did is it took that 5 and it multiplied it by 3, giving me 15 points. Okay, now let's look at the next one. So on the next one, I intentionally got it correct, but I said I was mid-sure. so that we could see how the math worked. So it took that 2, multiplied it by 5, she got 10 points for this one. On this one, we went ahead, we marked it as correct, but we said, I'm not real sure. So you'll see here, she just got the straight up 5 points. Because she didn't miss it, but she also wasn't very confident in her answer. Okay, so it just gave her the basic points. Now we're going to get into some of the ones where we know. This one, again, she got it all right, but she wasn't sure, so she just got the 5 points. Here's one where she got it very wrong, but said she was very sure. So in that case, what ended up happening is it actually counted off quite a lot more than double. Looks like it doubled this, the weight, so 10, and then times it by 3. So what it's doing here is we're counting off negative 30. So if you went through and you were just super confident and got everything wrong, it is absolutely possible to get a negative score on a certainty-based marking quiz. So here she's got this one wrong, and she said she was kind of sure about it. So you'll see here she got negative 10. The essay question, we just went in and gave her all the points for that. This one, she got it wrong, but she said she wasn't sure if she got it right or not. So in this case, she just didn't get any points. So it just kind of, it evened things out. It didn't count against her, it didn't help her, just zeroed her out. Okay, so that is how that certainty-based marking calculation is going to work. And so what it's doing is it's tallying up those totals, thus at the top, giving you your final score. Okay, so a lot of times people say, all right, that's all fine and good, but why in the world would I ever want to use certainty-based marking? So there's quite a few different reasons why people might utilize CBM. The first one is going to be make students think about how reliable their answer is. So you're actually making them be sure of themselves and their answers and know what they're doing. Also trying to encourage your students to understand it and not just react immediately to a question and just throw out answers. Also, you're challenging your learners, so they won't risk losing points if they aren't sure if they really know the answer, so you're kind of encouraging honesty as far as how much they really truly know. And then also helps them to be either become more confident or realize that maybe they need to scale it back a bit and realize that they maybe don't know as much as they think they do. So quite a few things that kind of help here. I have had several clients want to implement this as a means of practice. I've talked recently, and it's kind of one of those things, sometimes things just hit all at once. Haven't gotten a question on gradebook in years, and then all of a sudden I get hit with multiple questions on gradebook. And one thing that I've had people ask is, how do I set up a practice exam but then not let that exam impact my learner's final grade? Because I don't want that to actually hurt them, but I want them to have a resource where they can go in and they can practice. So that is what we're going to be talking about in some of our future sessions. We're going to go through all the rest of the quiz types over the next couple of weeks, and then we're going to have quite a few sessions on gradebook because that is becoming a ever more popular topic. So join us that time and we'll talk about that. I'm going to go ahead, guys, and I'm going to turn the floor over to you. It's just kind of certainty-based marking in a nutshell, but if you have any questions, please feel free to let me know, and I've got the questions box pulled up now.